All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. Wow, my head is still turning from that last segment we just did with Alice Little, a licensed prostitute up there at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. So a little off the air, we were just, because she just made the comment. And by the way, John Schaefer, news anchor here at KDWN, joins us in studio. If a 500-pound man comes in there, grotesque looking, whatever the case may be, she'll have no problem having sex with him as long as he's nice to her. And then where she draws the line is Donald Trump. She would not have sex with Donald Trump for $1 million. And me and John Schaefer and JD were just talking. I'm going to be honest with you. I'd give Donald Trump 50% off. I would consider having sex with him, protected, of course, for $500,000. I would absolutely let Donald Trump have his way with me. Is that wrong of me to say? Throw Bernie Sanders in there if you want to. I don't care. I will give them 50% off as long as I know I'm not getting a disease or something. And, with Donald Trump and the women he's been with, that's suspect. Yeah. So you'd have to wear a condom.
Brian's already having the Black Friday sale, 50% off. He hasn't even done it for the full price yet, and he's already given half off.
Late September.
No, I need all 7 figures, and then I don't care.
So
Donald, Hillary,
so Schaefer,
Acacia, bring them all on.
Oh, Ocasio, I'd have to pay her $1 million.
Yeah, I know she doesn't have $1 million, so that would be the problem.
I'd probably have to pay her $1 million.
Yeah.
I'd pay her a lot of money.
I can say with confidence, I would not have sex with any male politician. I would probably consider Ocasio-Cortez.
John, come on, be honest.
Maybe a Tulsi Gabbard.
$900,000 you wouldn't let Trump.
But I am a happily married man.
$900,000? $1 million is your cutoff with Donald Trump. All right, that's fair. Hey, I respect you for that.
I think with all of them, yeah. I need to.
You need enough money to last you the rest of your life. I used to have this conversation with people because I'm an immature moron. I used to have this conversation with people about Michael Jackson, right? I said I would sleep with Michael Jackson. I would let him have his way with me, the late Michael Jackson, as long as I had enough money to last me the rest of my life, because I would probably be frightened for the rest of my life.
Yeah, he didn't even have enough money to last him the rest of his life, and he didn't even live.
And how about Stormy, right? That's true. How about Stormy? $120,000. $120,000?
Yeah. Side story about Stormy, she's doing a club appearance in State College at Penn State tonight.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Wait a second. How is she doing? What kind of appearance is she? What's she making a speech? Hey,
I don't know what she's doing at this bar. It's the same bar where the Jonas Brothers show up all the time. And now she's doing it. So, all right, the backstory is the dean of the College of Communications that I graduated from was being interviewed for a magazine and said something about Barstool Sports and about the stereotypes that it presents because it's very male-oriented and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The Barstool Sports guy then tweeted out that he wants to debate her because he doesn't agree with anything she says, and now Stormy Daniels' appearance is part of the bring the guy that's the head of Barstool Sports campaign to State College to have this debate.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Because, John, usually when you hear about somebody speaking at a college, maybe it's a Ben Shapiro or somebody.
Well, she's speaking at a bar. She's not speaking in a class.
Right, but I'm just saying, but when you hear that, I'm thinking what it would be like if Stormy spoke at a college. Well, listen, this is how I paved my way to stardom. I had unprotected sex with Donald Trump, and now I'm suing Michael Avenatti. This is how you become famous. I mean, I guess she could be is that a motivational speaper? I guess Stormy could be a motivational speaker.
I know.
I don't know.
I just think I follow Barstool Sports. I graduated from the school where she's the dean. I am familiar with Michael Avenatti because of his relationship with you guys, and I know who Stormy Daniels is, so it's all full circle.
By the way, for the
6
record,
degrees of separation.
Yes, and by the way, for the record, if you don't believe me, you could go on our Twitter page at the Vegas Tape. Stormy Daniels went after my mother.
When she turns on you, she turns hard.
Yeah, she went after my mom, and I said, well, you know what? My mom didn't have unprotected sex with Donald Trump for financial gain, and that was kind of the end of the conversation. I dropped the mic, so to speak, on that one. But anyway, we wish Stormy the best. She sounds like a very nice, credible woman. Well, John Schaefer is here. This is what I love about doing this show. We can talk about how much money it would take to have sex with Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden I got John Schaefer doing the news. So go ahead, John. What's going on in the world?
Well, there could be some good news for the legal marijuana business. The U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill that would grant legal marijuana businesses access to banking, a measure that would clear up a long-standing headache for the industry. Many marijuana businesses have relied on cash, making them potential robbery targets. It also makes it harder to detect theft, tax evasion, and money laundering.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Do you agree with that, JD?
Totally agree.
Yep.
Yeah. Taxi Cab Authority here in Las Vegas meeting this morning to discuss implementation of a flat fee when traveling from McCarran to resorts on the Strip. The flat fee would essentially put a stop to the practice of long hauling, where a driver takes passengers the long way through the airport tunnel to the freeway, then to the Strip. A 2017 audit showed riders were overcharged a total of $47 million because of long hauling. The taxi industry has suffered a major decline in revenues because of ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft.
Don't even get me started with taxis. This was like 4 or 5 months ago when it was like 120 degrees outside, and I'm staying. I was at the SLS, but I was staying at the Westgate, and me and my friend, we were too lazy to walk back. We take a taxi from SLS to Westgate. It literally cost me $20.
Oh, my God.
He didn't take, he took the wrong turn. He went the strip route. He went towards Circus. I was flipping out. I was so angry at this guy. That's why you take Lyft and some of these other places. It's just better.
Yeah.
It's better.
For the 11th straight month, the number of passengers using McCarran International Airport up in August compared with the same month a year ago. Clark County Department of Aviation reported 4.4 million arriving and departing travelers last month. It's a 3.1% increase from August of 2018. The airport has handled nearly 34.2 million passengers this year, keeping it on pace to surpass 50 million for the year for the first time. Southwest, the busiest carrier at McCarran. Spirit overcame Delta in the second spot, followed by American and United.
Oh, Spirit is the absolute worst airline on the planet.
I think Frontier is honestly worse than Spirit.
They're both bad.
I'm not a huge fan of Allegiant, but Spirit has some big things in the works.
Hey, listen, we'll give you a round-trip flight for $80, but we're going to charge you $500 for your little carry-on.
That's the best part, the $9 ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you want it on the plane. I didn't realize that part.
It's kind of like the resort fees of the air business.
It's just,
You're right.
it's
That's
just
a good
crazy.
analogy.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Speaking of flying, a female passenger opened the emergency door on an airplane before takeoff because the cabin was too stuffy. The unnamed passenger said she wanted fresh air while the plane was on the tarmac in China. According to the cabin crew on the flight, the incident happened toward the end of boarding. A video in which the incident was shown has gone viral, being watched more than 18 million times. Flight crew and other passengers were then forced to wait in the plane as airport police turned up and arrested the woman. The incident caused a 1-hour delay while the emergency door was shut again and a second round of safety inspections was carried out.
Excuse me, it's a little stuffy in here. I got a sore throat. Can we just open up the cabin, please? That is kind of a serious... Well, I'm going to tell you something. JD's
my apologies to the other 265 people on this plane. You clearly do not matter, neither do your lives.
There's only on one condition I would ever do that, and it would be this morning if I was sitting next to JD because he has the worst gas in the world. And you're sitting next to him right now, John. That is the only time I would consider ever opening the cabin.
I went to this place called Parsley last night on Flamingo
right there, that
and
says
Grand
it all.
Canyon. This Mediterranean restaurant. I had a kebab. It was delightful, but yes.
If you light a match in here, we are all on fire.
Brian is not lying to anyone right now.
It's horrendous. Anyway, Mr. Schaefer, I'm going to give Donald Trump a call for you, and we're going to see if he counter offers. Okay, I will give you the transcript.
This isn't the art of the deal. It's $1 million or nothing.
$1 million or nothing. Okay, fair enough.
No compromise.
That's fair. All right, Mr. Schaefer. Always appreciate it when he comes in and does the news. I love it. Lot to get to today, by the way. A lot more to get to if we haven't gotten to enough already. But I talked a little bit about this feud on Fox News. This is between Tucker Carlson and Shepard Smith. Let me explain. So Tucker, and by the way, this is the same idiot who said on his show that white supremacy is a hoax. So you want to talk about a moron with no credibility, that's Tucker Carlson. But with that being said, on Tuesday night, he had a guest on his show that attacked Judge Napolitano. Judge Napolitano is a guy that, a tremendous amount of experience. And basically, Napolitano said that, it is a crime for the president to solicit aid for his campaign from a foreign government. That's obvious. Many other people have said the same thing. So what happens that night on Tucker's show? A guest on Tucker's show named Joe DiGenova, I think that's his name. I don't know. I can't even pronounce his name. Anyway, he called this judge, Napolitano, a fool for his opinions, also called it foolish. Okay? No, it's not a crime, DiGenova said. So Shepard Smith the next day goes on Fox News, which would be yesterday, and was, I guess defending Judge Napolitano, which I agree with. So this is Shepard Smith in his own words on Fox News yesterday.
Last night on this network, during primetime opinion programming, a partisan guest who supports President Trump was asked about Judge Napolitano's legal assessment. And when he was asked, he said, unchallenged, Judge Napolitano is a fool. Attacking our colleague who's here to offer legal assessments on our air in our work home is repugnant. And today, I asked other legal minds whom we trust and on whom we rely to weigh in on the same matter. Many of our regular viewers will recognize many of their names. One, Caroline Polisi, criminal defense attorney, frequent guest on this news hour and on this channel and on other national news channels, said just the solicitation would be a crime, meaning there wouldn't have to be a quid pro quo. Jim Trusty, 28-year prosecutor, 7 years with the Department of Justice, a current defense attorney, said to me, the investigation would be a thing of value. Campaign finance laws prohibit the solicitation of a thing of value from a foreign leader. Alex Little, former Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Department of Justice, current defense attorney, frequent guest here, said yes, it would be a crime, probably a few crimes. Among them, it likely violates the election law prohibitions on seeking assistance from foreign governments. Additionally, the investigation likely would be considered a benefit under the election law, and the solicitation of a benefit alone is improper. He cites 52 U.S.C. 3121A1A. And Jeffrey Kramer, managing director of the Berkeley Research Group, a 13-year veteran of the criminal justice system, a former prosecutor, and a frequent Fox News guest, said, requesting assistance in investigating a political opponent would be a crime, even without the threat of withholding funds. But the current allegations seem to touch more on basic issue, which is upholding the oath of office to the Constitution and American citizens. On this matter, the Democrats concur. The ones doing the investigating say that's what this is about.
Okay, so there you go. That's Shepard Smith, his own words. And by the way, I've said time and time again, I respect Shepard Smith and others at Fox News, some others. Tucker Carlson, not one of them. The man has zero credibility. And when somebody goes on your network and calls Judge Napolitano a fool, Shepard Smith was very eloquent in his opinions, and he just named a laundry list of many others that go on Fox News that agree with Judge Napolitano. Now, Tucker Carlson being the jerk that he is, you think he apologized? You think he questioned his guest? Of course he did, because he's an idiot. He's a partisan fool, okay? So Tucker Carlson decides to go on his show last night, and here is Tucker Carlson's response.
When you dress up news coverage, when you dress up rather partisanship as news coverage and pretend that, your angry political opinions are news, people tune out. They know dishonesty when they see it.
People tune out? First of all, that's not an angry news opinion. What was angry about what Shepard Smith said? Okay, he just named a bunch of people that agree with Judge Napolitano. You have somebody on Fox News that was one of your guests, Tucker, on your show that called Judge Napolitano a fool. You want to talk about angry? You want to talk about partisan? That is your entire show. Has Tucker Carlson ever gone after a Republican? All he does is go after Democrats. He called white supremacy a hoax. I could go on with the horrendous things that Tucker Carlson has said, the horrendous things that Laura Ingraham has said on her show and other shows, just to name a few. I'm sorry, but Shepard Smith is 150% in the right. And not only was he right that it was inappropriate for Tucker's guest to call Judge Napolitano a fool, he also named a bunch of other Fox News contributors that are on a bunch of those shows on a regular basis that agree with Judge Napolitano. So are they all morons too? Are they all fools too? See, that's what a real show does, right? If they say something that is out of bounds, if they say something that is wacky or inappropriate, they don't just move on or agree and be a coward like Tucker Carlson. They question that person hard. But Tucker Carlson won't do that as long as it fits his agenda. Tucker Carlson won't do that. Again, I repeat one more time, this is the same guy who said white supremacy is a hoax days after 22 people died in a Walmart in Texas, El Paso at the hands of a white supremacist. Days later, we find out that a man is arrested in Las Vegas, a white supremacist, for trying to carry out, and thank God he didn't, shootings in gay bars and synagogues. But according to Tucker Carlson, white supremacy is a hoax. And all it's about is ratings. All it's about is money. That's all these networks care about, make no mistake about it. And in my opinion, Fox News is the worst. Because nobody on, and yes, CNN is to the left and they're biased. There's no question. MSNBC is to the left and they're biased. There's no question. But find me somebody on one of those networks that said something as bad as white supremacy is a hoax. That's just as bad as saying ISIS is a hoax. That's just as bad as saying Al-Qaeda is a hoax days after 9/11. Yeah, you had more people die in 9/11, but it's the same premise. Innocent people were killed at the hands of Al-Qaeda. Innocent people were killed at the hands of white supremacists. And then days after that, Tucker says it's a hoax. The idea of white supremacy is a hoax. How can anybody out there, and I mean anybody, I don't care if you like Fox News, I don't care if you like Donald Trump, I don't care if you're a Republican, how could anybody out there respect this horrendous human being that is Tucker Carlson? Not to mention the horrible and troubling things he said about immigrants over the years. He said on that Bubba the Love Sponge podcast. How can anybody out there respect Tucker Carlson for any reason? Any reason based on the things he has said just recently. We'll take your phone calls on this. What do you think about this feud? We'll take a few phone calls. What do you think about this feud between Shepard Smith and Tucker Carlson? Do you side with Tucker Carlson on this? Boy, I'd love to hear from you. Or do you side with Shepard Smith? Do you think Shepard Smith was in the right? Do you think Tucker Carlson, and there's nothing wrong with someone going on his show, attacking another analyst on Fox News? You can disagree, but calling him a fool and attacking him personally? What do you think about that? The number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Again, that number, we'll take a few more calls on this one, 702-257-5396. JD, what do you think about this?
I think that you have I'm not sure if you hate Donald Trump or Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham more.
Well, let's just be specific, though, to this. Forget about who I hate. What do you think about this?
I'm actually very, very curious which one you dislike the more out of all three of those.
Well, but that's not the point here. We're just talking about Tucker Carlson, and I'm just asking you, what do you think about this specific situation between Tucker Carlson and Shepard Smith?
Answer my question, though, Brian. Out of those three, which one do you hate the worst? Which one do you hate the most?
I don't know what that has to do with this.
I'm
Who
just
do
curious.
I hate the worst?
You just went on a 3 or 4 minute tangent / monologue about Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. Well, Donald Trump, I just think he's a horrible human being for his actions and his behaviors.
Laura Ingraham is a horrible human being.
The reason why I dislike
Laura... And you think that Tucker Carlson is also a, surprise,
so, I mean,
horrible human being.
I think all three of them are bad people. I really do. I think Laura Ingraham is a clear and blatant racist based on the things she has said in her show. By the way, I've never called Donald Trump a racist. I said that he's said some racist things. I truly believe in my heart that Laura Ingraham is a racist. As far as Tucker Carlson goes, I just think the man has zero character.
And these are three of the most prominent people in the Republican Party, two of which are involved with news. Oh, yeah, they're pretty prominent.
Involved with news.
Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham are very, very prominent. When you think of the Republican Party, so is Donald Trump.
Sean Hannity is more popular than both of them.
I'm saying
so is Rush Limbaugh.
They're probably top. Yeah, Limbaugh is definitely more popular, but they're probably top 10 collectively.
Perhaps.
Trump's number one for obvious reasons.
Perhaps.
Collectively, they're probably top 10 between all three of them.
That doesn't change my opinion. I don't care how popular they are. If they do something wrong, I'm going to call them out for doing something wrong. I don't care how popular they are.
How do you harbor this much hatred for,
Why don't you,
for,
but
for
I
Laura
answered your
Ingraham,
question.
Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump, and not call yourself a liberal?
What? I don't understand where you're going with this. We're talking about a specific issue between Tucker Carlson and Shepard Smith. What does this have to do with my political beliefs? I just laid it out for you.
You just seem to have a lot of ill will and
I gave reasons for that.
Right, I understand that, but how do you do that? And all these people, there's a common denominator here. They're all Republicans. They're all right leaning.
But I answered your question. You haven't answered mine.
About I understand Donald Trump. That's one. But Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, you've got three.
They're not politicians.
Prominent people, right-wing people, one of which is the President of the United States.
So what's your point?
That you have deep-rooted hatred for.
So you're saying because I dislike Trump.
How do you not call yourself a liberal?
How?
Yeah.
Because I voted for Mitt Romney, that's how. Because I voted for Republicans, that's how. Because I've criticized Barack Obama, particularly when he was president of the United States, that's how. Because I call out things for what they are. And I've done that on a regular basis. And I've called out Democrats, and I've called out people on the left for similar things. We do a timely show, and yesterday this is a feud between Shepard Smith and Tucker Carlson. I'll ask you the question again. I thought I eloquently answered your question. I'm asking you again. Do you have a problem with what Tucker Carlson did? Do you have a problem with what Shepard Smith did? Do you disagree with me on this issue?
I'm not a huge fan of Tucker Carlson myself. I don't think he is a terrible human being. In this specific situation, I don't necessarily agree with him, no.
Okay, so we agree. So does that mean you're a liberal?
Because of one particular situation based on circumstance?
You've agreed with me on a lot of issues when it comes to Laura Ingraham, too.
I haven't made any all-encompassing statements like she is a terrible human being, she is a racist, et cetera, et cetera.
But you've agreed with me.
How do you make these all-encompassing statements and then still call yourself, not biased? Clearly, you have. It's a simple
explanation that I gave you. I voted on the right. I voted on the left.
You have more favor towards the left wing, but But when callers call in and they call you a liberal, you get mad at them.
Well,
How do you do that? But then at the same time, you're singling out three prominent members of the Republican Party.
They're not members of the. What are you talking about?
Obviously, Donald Trump is president of the United States.
He's the president. They do TV shows.
95% of Republicans know who Tucker Carlson is.
So what?
And 95% of Republicans know who Laura Ingraham is.
So what?
And probably 60 or 70% of those are staunch supporters.
Well, I
Of
disagree.
both of those people.
I'll answer your question.
So how do you call all three of them? How do you call all three of them horrible human beings, but at the same time not admit to having a bias towards the left?
Because I could name you plenty of people on the left that I think are also horrible human beings. That's why. Just because you take a few people on the right and you dislike them, you think they're horrible people, it doesn't make you a liberal. I could take people on the left, and I feel the same way about some of those on the left as well. That's the best answer I could give you. Let's take a quick phone call on this at 257-5396. Let's go to Bob. Bob, what's going on?
What's up, Bob?
Hey, what's up, Brian and JD?
What's up?
I got a question. Maybe this stuff is just getting too old. You know? Every day it's rinse and repeat. It's the same conversation. Donald Trump, liberal.
This thing just happened yesterday. I don't know what you mean.
Last week it was guns, and the week before that it was health insurance and all.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You're right. You're right. These mass shootings are getting old. I agree with you. So I think it's an important.
The whole thing is getting old. Hey, do you remember the movie Brewster's Millions?
No, I don't.
You never saw it?
I did not. No.
Anyway, there's a scene in the movie where they're running for mayor in New York, and I say that as a country as a whole, we vote none of the above. Screw it. None of the above. And
so
then you'll get the message that it's time to go to work for us and not for each other.
Well, I agree, but does that mean we shouldn't be talking about Donald Trump, and we shouldn't be talking about these transcripts, and we should be talking about inappropriate behavior? I mean, I'm trying to understand where you're coming from.
Well, no, we should. We shouldn't be talking about any of this. We should be a better society of people.
Well, maybe if it didn't happen at all, maybe we wouldn't have to talk about it. Did you ever think of that?
Of course not.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But we can't. You know what? For some reason in society, we cannot stop any of this from happening. I mean, the next president's going to do the same thing.
I disagree.
A right or a left.
I disagree.
You think that they're all a bunch of corrupt? You know what?
Unfortunately, I agree that, and it's a generic statement, but I do agree that there are a lot of politicians out there that are corrupt. But I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you on this premise. We've never seen anything like it that we've seen with Donald Trump on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I got to get to some other callers, but I appreciate that, Bob. 257-5396 is the number to call, and I guess we don't have enough time to take more callers, but we will try to squeeze in a few coming up next. So stay with us. We got a couple of callers on the line. We'll try to get to you when we come back. The number to call again, 257-5396. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will also be joining us in a few minutes, so you definitely will want to stay tuned for that. And make no mistake about it, if something big is happening in the news on a daily basis, we are going to cover it, both from the left perspective and the right perspective and in the middle, and we will always hear from you out there. That is the type of show we do, and we will not change that. 257-5396, the number to call. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is The Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh, yeah, welcome back. Hour number 3. It is The Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us. Mike Babcock, TMZ Sports, coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Also, I'm going to have some tickets to give away to Chivalry Renaissance Festival, so you want to stay tuned for that. But I did promise we'd get more to your phone calls here. I think I forgot how to talk today. But Shepard Smith, we're talking about Shepard Smith and Tucker Carlson, the beef they're having with one another, and we're taking your calls. We have one line open at this point. The number to call, 257-5396. Let's start off with Wayne. Wayne, thanks for your patience. What's up?
What's up, Wayne?
Well, just got a couple of things I'd like to comment on. First, the Tucker Carlson thing, I just look at it maybe with a little bit different point of view as far as, and let me start off by saying, I voted for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand him. Never watched one episode of The Apprentice. I think he's an arrogant SOB.
I appreciate your honesty,
Wayne. I didn't vote for him because of his personality or who he is.
No, I understand.
For what he could do for the country.
And, Wayne, there's a lot of people like you that feel the same way, and I don't have a problem with that.
But the Tucker Carlson thing, I feel like it may be a slightly out of context. I feel like white supremacy is a myth.
What?
But I feel like there are plenty of white supremacists in the United States.
So how is it a myth then?
Well, because when you say white supremacy and use it in that frame, it's like there's this huge conspiracy out here of a ton of white supremacists.
So, Wayne, can I ask you a question? Let me ask you a question, Wayne, and I appreciate your opinion, but let me ask you this. Yes. There is a white supremacist that was arrested a few weeks ago right here in Las Vegas. He admitted to being a white supremacist. He had social media posts saying he was a white supremacist. He planned to execute homosexuals in local gay bars and Jews in synagogues. How do you say that is a myth?
Well, I don't see that he's not a myth. He's 100% real, and the problem is there are a lot more like him.
So how is it a myth then?
because it's not this huge conspiracy of all these big groups of white people, me being included.
It's called the KKK. It's called the KKK.
Oh.
It's been around forever.
Well, here's the thing. I'm from Georgia, okay? I'm out here visiting.
Yes, sir.
I've lived there 62 years. I don't know a single KKK guy. I know plenty of racists.
But you would agree the KKK exists throughout the country. There are organizations throughout the country.
It was a democratic organization started.
Well, I don't care how. I understand, but Wayne, I don't care how it started. It's there.
Here's the thing: racism is alive in the United States.
Absolutely,
it's not going away.
I agree.
And the reason being is because it's all about race. I hire people every day. I don't ask them what color they are. It's how qualified you are.
Well, you're different, and you're a like-minded individual that's not a racist. That's why.
But I have been the victim of racism.
Right. I don't doubt it.
I came up in the 70s when affirmative action came along. I could not apply
I understand, Wayne.
Jobs, even though I was qualified.
And Wayne, I listen.
That's racism.
Wayne, I appreciate your perspective, and I'm glad you're not one of those people. I'm glad you don't look at someone based on race or gender, but you kind of proved my point. You did say white supremacists exist, so you can't say it exists and say it's a myth at the same time. Wayne, I appreciate the phone call.
He's just saying that it's not a top 5 or top 10 issue like specific parts of the media are making it seem to be. Well, obviously, there's extremist views in this country, right wing, left wing, and that's not going to change.
But you can't say it's a hoax.
Of course, it's not a hoax. Obviously, it's a very real thing, and it's not helping the country.
Right. Tell that to Tucker Carlson, who does a national show and has a national platform and says the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. He is an a-hole. And he is dangerous to this country when he makes statements like that. Number to call, 257-5396. I believe our next caller is Robin. Robin, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
What's up, Robin?
Yeah, well, it's very simple about Mr. Carlson. If he says that it doesn't exist, it's a hoax, then it will be called the same thing the Black Panthers from the 70s. It was a hoax.
I'm totally confused. You have me lost, Robin. Please explain.
All right. So if he says that the white supremacist doesn't exist, it's a hoax.
Which is right? A lie, which isn't true. I'm sure you would agree.
Right. It's to say that in the 70s, the Black Panther, they never was there.
Well, I agree. They're both incorrect. You're right, Robin. You're right.
That's my point.
Yeah, Robin, I agree with you. Yes.
And the other point that I had is this gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Lindsey.
Yes.
When he was a representative in the 90s, he made a big argument about something being, cheating on the wife when the president cheated on his wife.
You're talking about Lindsey Graham?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He now, these guys, he just sold the country
right
to a foreign country for political advantage.
Robin, I know the point you're making, and by the way, point well taken, very good call. What Robin is saying is, you got Lindsey Graham, who was all over Bill Clinton about the impeachment because he cheated on his wife and lied about it. And by the way, I don't have a problem with that. Go ahead and impeach him for lying. But all of a sudden, Lindsey Graham has no problem at all with what Donald Trump did. Robin is 150% correct.
In all fairness, that was 25 years ago.
Could have been 100 years ago. Lindsey Graham is not consistent, and he is an ass kisser to Donald Trump. 257-5396.
So people can't change their minds. They can't change their philosophies based on circumstances.
He's biased. He's completely biased. 257-5396. Go to Marge. Marge, what's going on?
What's up, Marge?
On this whole thing with, Fox News, there's certainly a division between the daytime news and the nighttime news as far as who those hosts are and what's going on there.
Correct.
And I don't know if maybe these two were told by management to stir the pot. So, they get noticed a little bit, and maybe there's an issue on ratings or something like that in the background. We don't know any of that,
Yeah.
Joe DeGeneva has always been a yes man for Trump.
Of course, completely. And make no mistake about it. What Shepard Smith said is completely correct. He is a partisan hack. I'm using the word hack. That is a supporter of Donald Trump. And when you call Judge Napolitano, who is well respected across the world, by the way, a very intelligent man, you call him a fool because you disagree with him. It makes you look dumb.
Yeah, and Napolitano, he's been very critical of Trump in the past. I don't know, over a year now it seems. I think maybe he's seeing the light of day. I think before he was kind of on the fence, and then he kind of moved, to the other side.
Right.
but I think he was hoping for a little bit more of recognition in judgeship and maybe even the Supreme Court at one point. Never got it.
Yep.
I don't think he was even considered along the lines when some of these openings occurred.
Yep.
So, he's being a little bit, I think he knows his ship is passed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, speaking very truthfully and honestly as far as what he thinks about what's going on out there,
I agree, Marge, and that's well said. And I respect Judge Napolitano because not only do I think he's extremely intelligent, but I don't think he's a partisan. I don't think he's one of those people on Fox News that is a partisan hack. I think he tells it like it is, and I respect that about him. Same way he hasn't said a lot of great things about Barack Obama on Fox News, but I respect his opinion because I think he's fair and I think he's honest. Marge, thank you so much for the call. Always good to hear from you. 257-5396 is the number to call. I believe our next caller is Terry. Terry, what's on your mind?
Tucker Carlson and your Shep argument. Basically, I see it as a little bit different than you guys do. With Shep never asked Judge Napolitano about whether or not Trump should be investigating corruption. It's about corruption. He's not supposed to go and deal with Ukraine's president and ignore that Ukraine has been involved in corruption with respect to the elections and Joe Biden. Under the take care clause of the Constitution, in fact, Trump has the obligation to make sure that country knows he's not going to be dealing with them in a corrupt way. And he wants to be clear that he's not taking any part of it and that it was horrible to see. Now, with respect to whether or not he's getting some type of benefit out of it, hey, we already know about Biden. Everybody knows about Biden. Everybody knows about his son. He's not getting any trash on Biden. He wants to get information on the server and the DNC maybe. Maybe that's new.
He didn't bring that up. With all due respect, Terry.
Maybe that's something of value, but the bottom line is,
hang on, Terry.
Biden has already been exposed.
Terry.
He was exposed months ago when he went on the news.
As far as being exposed, the only person that's been exposed is Donald Trump, according to Stormy Daniels. But to get into serious conversation, Terry, in regards to the DNC,
you can't be serious about this because we all know that Biden got on there and bragged about what he did.
Terry, you got to let me respond. If you want to have a conversation, you got to let me respond.
Government.
Terry, I got your point.
You want to make jokes about Stormy Daniels.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Terry. Terry, why don't you? Well, Terry, guess what? If you want to do a 3-hour show by yourself and you want to talk about the DNC and emails, let's see how many callers and listeners you get. I would say it'd be under 2 callers in 3 hours. I do a radio show, you don't. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm trying to have a conversation with you, and you won't shut up. So if you could please be quiet and let me respond to all the nonsense you just said, I will gladly have a conversation with you. First of all, in this transcript, Donald Trump did not mention the DNC. Donald Trump did not mention Hillary Clinton. So I have no idea what the hell you are talking about when in regards to Ukraine, he did not bring up the DNC and the emails and the server. So that is completely academic and has nothing to do with this conversation.
No, he said he did in the transcript. He said they had the server.
Okay, he did not want Hillary Clinton. He did not want to have Hillary Clinton. He did not want to have Hillary Clinton investigated, and that has nothing to do with what the Democrats are doing in going after Donald Trump.
That's what I'm saying. So he's getting no benefit. You're exactly on point now.
What do you mean I'm on point?
Now you've realized that
you're not making any sense. So you have no problem with Donald Trump, the president of the United States, asking the president of the Ukraine for a favor in going after Joe Biden and reopening an investigation to the man that is probably going to face Donald Trump in the 2020 election, and you have zero problem with that. And I guarantee you if it was Barack Obama that did the same thing, you would be on your horse screaming and yelling on the radio right now. Can you just admit that you are biased and you are a Trump supporter?
No, you're missing the point.
I think you're missing the point.
The point is when anybody engages in corruption, whether or not they're a politician or running for office or in the administration, that needs to be investigated. And
it was investigated. It was.
They want to give Biden a pass.
It was investigated.
What was the investigation interfered with by House Democrats, and was it thorough?
First of all, Terry, it was investigated. It was investigated, number one. And number two.
No, not by the DOJ and the FBI.
Well, guess what?
Everybody says it was investigated by the news. But the news, we know where the news goes.
So you have even though there is no 100% foolproof.
Did the FBI,
all right, I get it, Terry. There is
investigation?
no 100% foolproof evidence to show that Joe Biden had any wrongdoing or his son. There is no proof to back up that claim, number one. And number two, I find it very interesting that you have not criticized Donald Trump for anything in this phone call, and all you want to do is go after Donald Trump and his son. Make no mistake about it. I'll say it again so that people like you can understand, okay? If Joe Biden was a serial killer and his son committed mass murder, it still wouldn't change what Donald Trump did. Do you understand? Donald Trump committed an impeachable offense, whether Joe Biden and his son are guilty or not. What part of that do you not understand? 257-5396. Let's go to Carl.
Hello.
Yes, Carl, what's up?
Oh, yeah, I called you earlier today, but you were talking about the white supremacist, a myth. Well, I can only give you an opinion as to what I was trained in. Basically, racists and white supremacists have an inferiority complex. And let me explain that to you. They want to compensate by hating somebody else to build themselves up, their ego, to make themselves feel better. Look at it this way. Have you ever seen a small man, a little man? And a lot of times...
My producer comes in every morning, yes.
Are generally more aggressive, more fight. They want to fight more. They want to compensate for their...
My producer doesn't want to fight. My producer doesn't want to fight me. That's not true. Although I do know a local magician in town who does.
Well, but a lot of men try to compensate for whatever shortcomings they
No,
may
you're right.
have.
I understand. It's like the guy that has a sports car that has a very small genitalia. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, or a small...
I understand. Carl, a point well taken, my friend, and I appreciate the phone call. 257-5396. Let's go to Joel. Joel, you're next on the Vegas Take. Go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here's my big issue. We hear from the people on the right, the Trump supporters, who are saying, yeah, Trump didn't do anything wrong by asking a foreign leader for an investigation. If he truly thought that Biden or his son were guilty of something, why didn't he go to the FBI?
That is such a great question.
To any other law enforcement organization. He's the president of the United States. He could pick up the phone and call, what's the name of that international
No, you're right.
group?
Joel, I get your point, and you are 150% correct. Maybe we need to say that to our Republican friends.
I'd like an answer from them. They refuse to answer direct questions. It's always, yeah, but Obama, yeah, but Hillary, yeah, now it's yeah, but Biden, and yeah, but Hunter. They refuse to focus on the issue at hand.
You're right.
And do nothing but divert, evade, and obfuscate.
Joel, fantastic points you just made. You know, I completely agree with you. And you know what, Joel, I said that earlier in the show. If Trump really thought... Or you know how many Republicans have prominent positions in politics and in the FBI? If there was a there, Joel, and there was really some laws that were broken, don't you think we would have found out about it? They just think, Joel, I guess they just think the Clintons just block everything, huh?
Well, apparently, either that or they're not bright enough to figure out how to start an investigation.
Yeah, you're right about that, Joel. I couldn't agree with you more, man. 257-5396, the number to call. Great points. Let's go to Mike. Mike, what's up?
Morning, guys.
Good morning, Mike. What's on your mind?
So I just got a quick question. You're probably going to make me that yeah, but guy. So whether we agree or not on Trump participating in something to do with the upcoming election, I just want your opinion. You think it's any different, any better, any worse for an American president to action as far as meddling?
I'm sorry, your phone cut out there a little bit. Can you repeat that, Mike?
I'm just curious what your opinion is, because, well, I know what your opinion is of an American president.
Yeah.
Meddling? What would you say to an American president interfering in a foreign election?
I would listen. If a president and there was proof, 100% proof that an American president interfered in a foreign election, that is a serious crime. And I don't want that type of president running this country, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. That is a serious crime. I think we're getting into a little bit of whataboutism because I like to focus on the president right now. And
I understand that.
Yeah.
I said that right off. I just
But, Mike, that's a serious crime. Make no mistake about it. I try to be as fair as possible. And
is it as serious as this would be? Or
well, Here's the thing. I think they're both very serious. I don't like to say this is more serious than the other. If an American president is meddling in a foreign election, serious crime that could be an impeachable offense. If a president is asking a foreign country, the president of a foreign country, to open up an investigation or reopen up an investigation into his primary political opponent, I think they're both serious in both cases. Does that make sense?
Sure. That's what I wanted to find out.
Well, Mike, I appreciate the question. I think it's a fair question. Thank you for the call. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Paul. Paul, what's going on?
What's up, Paul?
Hey, man. I just this is the first chance I've had to call in and talk to you. I appreciate your enthusiasm and for your perspective and point of view. But I think it's a case of the pot calling the kettle black here. I mean, the Democrats did do exactly what you're accusing Trump of doing.
Okay, well, I'm not a Democrat. But okay.
What's funny is that when the script gets flipped and then Trump
be specific.
allows this to come out, and the story is told, now all of a sudden we want to bury Trump under the jail. But if the Democrats do the same thing,
be specific.
We just want to sweep it under the rug.
Okay, so please name me a Democrat that 100% with a transcript that asked a foreign leader for dirt on a political opponent, and I'll gladly have that discussion with you.
Well, your interpretation of what Trump asked that foreign leader for is dirt on another opponent.
Is it not?
I feel like his verbiage and what he was saying was, hey, look, I'm trying to be transparent. I'm trying to be a government for my people. We want to help you.
Trump's very transparent. Yeah, you're right about that. What about his tax returns? Very transparent.
Okay.
Well, it's not okay. He's not transparent.
Well, the point is that we can go tit for tat all day long.
No, we're not going tit for tat. We're not going tit for tat. I asked you to mention a Democrat that did the same thing. I'm asking you to be specific.
Well, you're not going to find a Democrat that did the same thing because
so it's not the calling the kettle black. Then you're wrong. I just asked you to be specific and name me a Democrat or a president that did the exact same thing that Trump did in that transcript. I'm waiting for an answer.
Okay. Well, I can't do that. But you know what I will do? I'll research that and come back to you.
And
I'll call back tomorrow.
And
when
Paul,
I do,
and Paul,
and if I do, and I have exact proof,
yes,
and I expect you,
I will.
to recoil some of your.
Well, you have my word on that. You have my word. You have my word on that, Paul, and you are welcome to call back anytime, okay?
Hey, Paul, thanks for being honest.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate the phone call. You can't say the cat calling the kettle black when I ask you to name a Democrat that did the same thing, and he couldn't do it. 257-5396. What do you think, JD? One more call? We're jamming him in here this segment.
I'm hoping 15 more calls.
Well, that would be nice, but we can't take 15 more calls. We got to get to some other stuff.
Yeah, one's fine.
All right, let's go to Frank. Frank, what's going on?
So, you said that he should have gone to the FBI, right? So
well, I didn't say that. The caller said that, and I actually tend to agree with it.
Yeah, so he asked the president to work with Bill Barr, right? Who's the head of the DOJ.
Who also is Donald Trump's personal attorney, I would like to think.
Yeah, so you're hanging Donald Trump, which I'm not a huge Donald Trump fan, right? And I don't listen to your show. I just happened upon it because I'm
sorry for that. I apologize. I'm sorry you had to run into our show. I'm sorry about that.
It's rare to find a show with liberals on it. So
I'm not a liberal. I'm not a liberal, with all due respect. I voted for Mitt Romney. Don't say come on. You don't know my voting record. I voted for – you can laugh. I voted for Mitt Romney. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. Find me a liberal that has the same voting record as me.
Yeah, so Mitt Romney is liberal in my book. But anyway.
Well, how come I didn't vote for Hillary then? Wouldn't a liberal vote for Hillary?
Know what he did, but you're screaming conviction and impeachment on the radio. Oh my God, impeach! I've been hearing it since the guy was elected.
So did you have a problem? Did you have a problem for a year when they were screaming? All the people on the right were screaming impeachment for Bill Clinton. Did you have a problem with that? Did you call into radio shows and complain about that?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're biased and you're on the right and you have zero credibility, Frank. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Good. I'm glad we agree. So we agree that you're a biased right winger, and then you're trying to attack me for being a liberal when I voted for Republicans. So now we know, Frank, you have absolutely zero credibility. Thank you for running into our show. You're welcome to call back anytime, and I can prove you wrong once again. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back here in just a little bit. Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports will be joining us. Boy, we got more Antonio Brown news to deliver to you. We'll get to that. And there is a restaurant in Las Vegas. It's being called Dirty Dining. There's a restaurant you might not want to go to in Las Vegas. We're going to talk about that coming up in a little bit here as well. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You are listening to The Vegas Take.